My name is Rachel Bennett and I am 26 years old, working as a waitress at an upscale restaurant to save enough money for nursing school while my mother battled medical bills back home. And that evening, the restaurant was filled with the city's wealthiest patrons, celebrating a corporate merger when I was assigned to serve a private table reserved for the family of Nathaniel Cross, one of the most powerful CEOs in the country, and his wife Vanessa Cross arrived first, dressed in diamonds and impatience, complaining before she had even sat down. And when I accidentally brushed the edge of her sleeve while setting down a tray of coffee, she shot up from her chair, grabbed the scalding cup, and hurled it directly onto my chest and face, screaming that I was clumsy and worthless and didn't deserve to work in a place like this, and the burning pain shot through my skin as gasps rippled across the dining room, guests frozen in stunned silence, phones quietly rising to record what was happening. And I stood there trembling, humiliated, tears mixing with the coffee dripping down my uniform, too shocked to even speak. When the restaurant doors opened and Nathaniel Cross walked in, having just arrived from his flight, and the moment he saw me standing there burned and shaking, and his wife standing over me with the empty cup still in her hand, his expression changed from confusion to disbelief to quiet, controlled fury, and he didn't raise his voice. He simply asked one question that silenced the entire room. "What did you do?" And Vanessa stammered something about me being disrespectful, but Nathaniel turned to the guests who had witnessed everything and asked calmly if anyone had recorded the incident. And 3 people raised their phones, and he asked them to send him the footage. Then he turned to me, knelt down to my level despite being one of the richest men in the country, and asked if I was all right, calling for ice and a first aid kit before any staff member could react. And he personally walked me to a private room, apologizing on behalf of his family. And when I told him with a shaking voice that I just needed this job to support my mother's surgery, something in his eyes softened, like he was remembering a version of himself from long before the wealth. And later I learned that Nathaniel himself had grown up poor, raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs, and he had never forgotten what it felt like to be looked down upon, which was exactly why what his wife did cut so deep. And instead of quietly settling things behind closed doors, he stood in the middle of the restaurant and announced that Vanessa's actions did not reflect his values, and that he would be covering my medical care, my mother's surgery costs, and my nursing tuition in full, not as charity, but as an apology for the cruelty she endured under his family's name. And Vanessa, humiliated and exposed, tried to argue, but for the first time, Nathaniel didn't back down to keep the peace. He simply said that respect was not optional in his life, not for his employees, not for strangers, and not even for his own wife. And in the weeks that followed, the video of that moment spread everywhere, not because a rich man had punished his wife, but because he had knelt down for a stranger when no one expected him to. And slowly Vanessa began to change too, humbled by the public reckoning, eventually visiting me herself to apologize, not with excuses, but with real remorse. And today, I am in nursing school, my mother is recovering well, and I still think about that night, how the worst moment of my life became the beginning of something better, proving that kindness, when it's real, doesn't ask about your bank account. It just shows up. If this story moved you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories, because every act of kindness deserves to be seen.